Ladies and gentlemen, it is the day before Oscar nominations are announced. So we've got to do one more video. Of course, it's the all-important video where we lay down the final nomination predictions. So let's go ahead and we won't waste any time today. I'll let you know if you have been watching a couple of videos in the past couple of weeks, there are a couple of changes I've made today, kind of last-minute changes, but none of them in major categories. They're all in kind of the below-the-line categories. All right. So we'll start with, we'll kind of go from some of the smaller categories up to Best Picture. Best Picture will be the last one. So starting with live-action short film, the 5 I have in are Time Code, Nocturne in Black, The Way of Tea, Sing, and Bon Voyage. By the way, Sing, this is a foreign short film, not the animated film. So those are those 5. I have heard a little bit of buzz on Silent Nights and The Rifle, The Jackal, The Wolf, and the Boy. Those 2 have also generated some buzz in this category, so either one of those 2 I think have a good shot of also being nominated here and maybe taking a couple of slots. For documentary short, I have Joe's Violin, The Mute's House, The White Helmets, Watani, My Homeland, and Close Ties as the 5. Extremis, The Other Side of Home are a couple more that are getting, especially Extremis, which I've heard from a few people might actually end up winning this category if it gets in. So yeah, that's one that, I don't know, something about that title, Close Ties, and stuff like that, I just have this weird feeling about it. Might be totally wrong, but we'll see what happens there. Best Animated Short Film, I have Piper Out Front. That's the one that played in front of Finding Dory. It's the only one of these shorts that I've seen. Pearl Sous Tes Doigts. I did study French, so I can't believe I couldn't pronounce that. Inner Workings and The Head Vanishes are the 5 I have. These are about the 5 frontrunners here. Once Upon a Line and Blind Vaisha. Also, Borrowed Time, or a couple more I've heard a little buzz on. So that's that category there. For documentary feature, I have O.J. Made in America out front, one of the best films of the year. 13th, I Am Your Negro. Or sorry, I Am Not Your Negro. That's the proper title. The Ivory Game and The Eagle Huntress are the 5 I have. Yeah, surprisingly this year, this category is filled with a lot of heavy hitters, like Life Animated, Wiener, and Camera Person are 3 more that are in the hunt there for sure. So that's those are the 5 I'm going with, though. Could be wrong about a couple of those, but those are the 5 that I have down. For Best Foreign Language Film, I have Tony Erdmann. Also have The Salesman, Land of Mine, Paradise, and A Man Called Ove as the 5 nominees. I have heard a little buzz on The King's Choice, and also My Life as a Zucchini was nominated at the Globes for Best Animated Feature. So it was animated feature, right? Yeah, animated feature. So yeah, that's those are the 5 I have. These I feel a little safer on, these 5. Okay, we'll move on now to Best Visual Effects. And this one I have, there was a change I just made today. I have The Jungle Book still out front, followed by Arrival, Rogue One, Doctor Strange, and I've now put in Deepwater Horizon. Peter Berg movies traditionally do well in some of these categories. Like I have Deepwater getting nominated in a couple other categories. You know, back to Lone Survivor, that got 3, I think it was 2 or 3 nominations back in the day, and that kind of broke late. In the same way that Deepwater Horizon definitely, you know, was not a huge player in the race until, I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks ago, all of a sudden, you know, it started getting into a couple of guilds and stuff. So I think there'll be a presence for it tomorrow. Definitely the one that I'm not picking that everybody else is Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It almost looks to me like the same case where the Last Hobbit movie didn't get in because the visual effects just didn't look finished to me in the movie. I mean, sure, the beasts and everything looked fine, but there's just a few spots here and there where I'm like, ooh, that looks really cheap. So that's the reason why I'm picking Deepwater Horizon over Fantastic Beasts. But I think the other 4 are very reasonably safe, especially Arrival and Jungle Book. Move on to the Best Sound Editing category first. I have Hacksaw Ridge, actually, I think will win this one. Usually it's the war movie that wins these. Followed by Rogue One, La La Land, Arrival, and Deepwater Horizon. The ones to look out for here are Silence and Jungle Book. There's also a possibility for Hell or High Water to get in there as well. Moving on to, sound mixing. I was going to do something else, but no, we're doing sound mixing. I have La La Land winning this one, Hacksaw Ridge, Rogue One, Arrival, and Deepwater Horizon for the 5 here. Once again, Jungle Book and Silence are also going to be in the running there. Yeah, so that's that category. Let's see, next one we'll talk about is Best Film Editing. La La Land, Hacksaw Ridge, Moonlight, Arrival, and Manchester by the Sea I have as the 5 here. Boy, this category, there's a couple other alternatives here. Silence is one. Thelma Schumacher usually gets in. Or Schoonmaker, sorry. Jackie is also a possibility. Hell or High Water is a possibility. And I'll tell you what, there's a couple more here where, depending on how the rest of the Academy votes, could also sneak in here. Those two are Lion and Nocturnal Animals, especially for me, Lion. If that does end up getting, closer to 5 or 6 or 7 nominations, like a director nomination, original song I've heard some people are putting in, it could also get in for maybe cinematography, a couple of those. If it does get into that, film editing could easily go along for the ride. And then Nocturnal Animals, yeah, again, if it does start kind of having a little bit of a sweep here where it starts getting production design, cinematography for sure, score, screenplay, if it starts getting a couple of these, and film editing will be a sign that, yes, it is. It was very, very well liked by the Academy. So this is one early on where, hopefully, yeah, this is one of the first categories they announced, because this will be a telling one. If we see something like Lion or Nocturnal Animals, or even something like Hell or High Water jump in there, then we know, okay, so those really did well with the Academy. Okay, the next one we'll talk about is makeup and hairstyling. The 3 I have here are basically the 3 I think everybody else is going to have, and that's Florence Foster Jenkins, Star Trek Beyond, and Deadpool. Yeah, we've also got A Man Called Ove and Hail Caesar as the 2 other possibilities there. And Hail Caesar, I think, does have the advantage there. I think it will get in. I have it in for production design right now. That was the last switch I've made. We'll get to that category in a second here. But, and then A Man Called Ove, it kind of reminds me a little bit, without having seen it, of that man who sat on a park bench and disappeared, or whatever that title was last year that made it into makeup. So, usually sometimes they go with an oddball pick like that. Yeah, production design. This is... Boy, this one could be a tougher category to predict. I have La La Land, Jackie, Silence, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and Hail Caesar as the 5 here. There's something that tells me my gut instinct of going against Arrival is wrong here, because Arrival, I have it getting into just about every other technical category with the exception of costume and score. It's ineligible at score, so that's why it's not in there. But it wasn't on the BAFTA Best Production Design list. That could easily be the case where it just makes it onto here. Also, The Jungle Book I had in this category up until this morning. Kind of a last-minute switch there. Also, I think Hidden Figures has a chance to get in there as well, since it is kind of a late-breaking one. And by the way, film editing, I don't think Hidden Figures will be a huge threat there. But if something like that happens, then yeah, we definitely know Hidden Figures got really well received by the Academy. If it gets into film editing. Moving on to costume design, I have La La Land, Jackie, Florence Foster Jenkins, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and Silence. For the alternates here, definitely Hidden Figures could strike here. And then also Allied got in at the BAFTA nominations for Best Costume Design, so that could also sneak in here. And plus, Coen Brothers. They like the Coen Brothers, so Hail Caesar is a threat here for costume design. Let's see, the next one we're going to get to is cinematography. La La Land, Arrival, Silence, Moonlight, and Nocturnal Animals are the 5 I have in there. Definitely Jackie, Lion, Hacksaw Ridge, Live by Night, Hail Caesar. Those are all done by famous cinematographers, or are films that could potentially get toward that 5, 6, 7 nomination list. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of possibilities with this category. So we can't really discount any of those, but those are the 5 I have in. Move on to the music categories now. Best Original Song first. I have the City of Stars out front for that one for La La Land. How Far I'll Go from Moana. Audition, The Fools Who Dream from La La Land, which should be winning this category. That's probably the best song in the movie. Try Everything from Zootopia. And Can't Stop the Feeling from Trolls are the 5 I have in there. Again, a sign of strength for Hidden Figures would be if it gets into this category. They have the song Runnin' by... oh God, what's Pharrell Williams? There we go. And actually, I have not seen Hidden Figures yet. I'm going to watch it this evening, though. I'll just make sure I get all the best pictures that I have predicted watched before the actual nominations are announced. And then also there's one that it's kind of that little a movie that all sorts of critics are talking about as one of the best songs of the year in a motion picture, and that's "Drive It Like You Stole It" from Sing Street. I'll tell you what, I don't think its Oscar chances are great for something like Best Picture or Director or anything like that, or even Screenplay. This could be maybe the one spot where there's a slot for that movie. Haven't seen that one yet either. It's on Netflix, so I'll have to catch up on that one sometime soon. Move on to the Best Animated Feature category next. Zootopia, Finding Dory, Moana, Kubo and the Two Strings, and The Little Prince are the 5 that I have in here. There's one everybody's going with, The Red Turtle. It's another one of those little foreign language animated films. I don't know why. I just have a gut instinct that that's going to be one of the big shockers. There's always a big shocker in this category. Like last year, the Peanuts movie, Peanuts, not penis, Peanuts movie, and what was the other one that didn't make it in last year? Oh, The Good Dinosaur. Yeah, those two everybody had on their list didn't make it in, and of course has to go without mentioning the Lego Movie back in 2014. One of the biggest overlooks in this category, probably in history, and this category's only been around for 15 years, so. But anyway, so there's usually a case like that. And actually, you know what? More than I'm thinking about it, Finding Dory actually might be the one that loses out here, too. That could be one that maybe gets overlooked for something like The Red Turtle, or maybe Sing, which made it onto a couple of lists. Also, My Life as a Zucchini was among the animated features nominated at the Golden Globes, so we can't totally discount that one either. Okay, now we'll move on to the screenplay categories. We'll start with the adapted screenplay first. I have Moonlight, Arrival, Lion, Hidden Figures, and Nocturnal Animals in this one. Yes, so I know a lot of you are shouting at me, put Fences in! What's wrong with you? Well, take a look. Fences did not make it in for screenplay at the Globes, where it probably should have, easily could have gotten in. Was not among the nominated screenplays at the BAFTA nominees, even though they didn't go for the movie. It's a weaker category this year. So I don't know why it's not in there. It did get in at WGA, so that's, definitely something that it has in its pocket. Plus, you know what? Fences, I feel like it peaked too early. It did outside of Denzel and Viola, no other nominations at the Globes. Just Viola got in at BAFTA. So this movie has not been performing great. It was on the PGA list, which is a good sign for it getting in for picture. Missed out at DGA, missed out at a couple other of those guilds, not really making it into like costume design or anything. Oh, actually, hang on, I would have to double check that. Maybe it did. But it's not, not overperforming the way I think it is. And when you look at it, Hidden Figures has come on late. It's kind of a late entry here, but I just, I have a feeling it's going to get in. Lion is going to get in. Arrival is going to get in. Moonlight, since it was switched over from original over to this category adapted, kind of similar to Whiplash a couple of years ago. That's going to make it in for sure. And then Nocturnal Animals, this is one that's been kicking my ass all year long because I have not put it into that adapted screenplay category. Got in at Critics' Choice, got in at the Globes, made it in at BAFTA, which I did finally predict that one. So that's one I'm not going to miss again. If it does happen to be the one that falls out, so be it. But still, that's the reason why I'm going with those 5. Over on the original screenplay side, I have Manchester by the Sea, La La Land, Hell or High Water, Jackie, and 20th Century Women as the 5 here. And I'll tell you what, even though 20th Century Women has just completely underperformed at basically every award show, I don't see a clear-cut alternative here. Lots of people are putting in The Lobster. I don't think that's one that the Academy is going to go for. I could be wrong. But that one, no screenplay nominations anywhere else this year. Actually, you know what? Let me double check. It didn't get in at it wasn't in at WGA, was it? I don't think it was. Let me fact check that here. Otherwise, a couple other ones I can mention in the meantime here. Captain Fantastic, a few people are turning to. I do have it in for Best Actor now for Vigo, for sure. But I don't know if anybody else is really going to go for that. Let's see here. And then, yeah, Zootopia. It's got a possibility. It could still get in there. But, we don't know for sure yet. And then, yeah, The Lobster was not in it at WGA. So I don't know why all these people are going to The Lobster as one of the 5. I just don't think it'll have it in it. And plus, Colin Farrell in the movie, he's not going to get in for Best Actor, we don't think. It's very, very unlikely at any rate. Where else are they going to go? Usually, with the exception, 20th Century Women, it does have a lot of buzz in that Best Actress category, a little bit of buzz for Greta Gerwig. At one point, it had a Best Picture buzz, so that one is understandable if it gets in. And plus, just having seen the trailers, not having seen the movie, it sounds like it's got a lot of memorable lines and a lot of great, spectacularly written lines, too. So, yeah, that's why I'm going with that one. Okay, now on to perhaps the easiest category to predict tomorrow is of these top categories, Best Actress in a Supporting Role. Definitely, I think the 5 are going to be Viola Davis for Fences, Michelle Williams for Manchester by the Sea, Naomi Harris for Moonlight, Nicole Kidman for Lion, and Octavia Spencer for Hidden Figures. These are the same 5 at Globe and at SAG, just about the same 5 at BAFTA, just missing Octavia Spencer there in favor of one of the Helen Squires or whatever her name was, for the I, Daniel Blake movie, which, as far as we know, is not going to have any, did not qualify for Oscars this year, so who knows. But if we got to turn to any 1 or 2 possibilities, it's going to be Janelle Monáe, who's the one of the co-stars of Hidden Figures, or Greta Gerwig for 20th Century Women, but those are highly unlikely. Supporting actor, Mahershala Ali for Moonlight, Jeff Bridges for Hell or High Water, Dev Patel for Lion, Lucas Hedges for Manchester by the Sea, and Hugh Grant for Florence Foster Jenkins of the 5 I have. And yeah, it does worry me a little bit. There was a statistic that came out that said that since 75, every actor who wins that supporting category at the Globes goes on to be nominated to the Oscars. At least nominated. They don't always win, but sometimes, or very rarely do they not even make the list. So not having Aaron Taylor Johnson in there is, it's questionable. Yeah, definitely questionable. But here's the thing. Nocturnal Animals, I think it'll score in a few places here and there. I just don't know if the acting branch is going to like it that much. If it was, I think we'd see more buzz for for Michael Shannon in this category potentially. A lot more buzz for Amy Adams in either lead or supporting. I think she should have gone supporting for that. I mean, true, she's the most important female character in the movie, but I just think her screen time is limited enough to where you can justify a supporting nomination there. And plus she's lead in Arrival, so that's undisputable. So that one's that way she doesn't run into the same category there. You can put her in supporting, and she has a chance to get nominated at both. And there's still an off chance that could also happen tomorrow. But I just have heard nothing on them doing that. They stuck her in lead. That's where they kept her. And then I think Jake Gyllenhaal would have a little bit more buzz too if if Nocturnal Animals was going to score one of those nominations. Speaking of which, Michael Shannon, there's also an outside chance he gets in tomorrow. He was in at Critics' Choice. He got in just about everywhere last year for 99 Homes and missed out at the Oscars. So, this could be payback for that. There's a couple more here. Kevin Costner for Hidden Figures. Haven't not seen the movie. I don't know. Maybe he does get a substantial amount of screen time. I've heard he's pretty good. So, if Hidden Figures really, really, really does overperform tomorrow, that could be one that happens. And also Ben Foster for Hell or High Water was, at least early on, looked like he would have a decent shot at getting nominated. But it's been a while since we've seen an actor or an actress in the same category from the same film. So where it's multiple nominees. The Help was the last one. That was 5 years ago. A lot of people are throwing out Lucas Hedges because he missed at BAFTA and at Golden Globes. I don't think so. I mean, it's the Timothy Hutton of this year, thinking back to something like Ordinary People. It's a spectacular performance. Of these, I have seen the 5 of these now. I have seen Moonlight, yes. And between these 5, Lucas Hedges is, I think, far and away the best performance. If he misses out tomorrow, it's going to be an outrage. That's an outrage. He should definitely get nominated tomorrow. And Hugh Grant, I think he's the next weakest link. He did make it in everywhere. He's at BAFTA. He's at Globes. He's at SAG. He didn't hit at Critics' Choice, but that was before that movie really took off. So, and that's a movie and a role where if they nominate Streep, they gotta nominate Hugh Grant along with her because, I mean, those two I think just go together. in that movie. I just don't see a scenario where one gets in but the other doesn't. Okay, so yeah, let's move on now to Best Actress in a Leading Role, which is of these five. Actually, it's supporting actor with those, a couple alternatives there. That could be a tougher one too. But these five I have had for a while, so we'll see if this is how it turns out. But I have Natalie Portman for Jackie, Emma Stone for La La Land, Isabelle Huppert for Elle, Meryl Streep for Florence Foster Jenkins, and Amy Adams for Arrival. Okay, yeah, so let's go down here. Ruth Negga for Loving, Annette Bening for 20th Century Women, Taraji P. Henson for Hidden Figures, Emily Blunt for Girl on the Train, all solid possibilities. With the exception of Taraji, they've all gotten in at one of those major awards, like Annette was at Globes and Critics' Choice, Emily was at SAG and BAFTA, Taraji hasn't really gotten in anywhere, but Ruth Negga was at Critics' Choice and at the Globes. So there's a precedent for three of those four, and then Taraji with Hidden Figures just, also, could, again, just be on this last-minute run where all of a sudden it's, boom, getting into all these categories. It could surprise us. It could shock us and get in. Okay, so let's move on now to Best Actor in a Leading Role. The five, I think this will be the second easiest. Casey Affleck for Manchester by the Sea, Denzel Washington for Fences, Ryan Gosling for La La Land, Andrew Garfield for Hacksaw Ridge, and Viggo Mortensen for Captain Fantastic. I mean, these five, they've made it in everywhere. With the exception of Viggo didn't make it in at Critics' Choice, but again, that's before that movie kind of got a little more steam there. He's gotten in at Globes, BAFTA, and SAG. And then Andrew Garfield, all three. Ryan Gosling, all three. Denzel, all three. Casey Affleck, all three of those. And all four, and then those four also in addition got Critics' Choice. So I don't see a scenario where any of them miss, with the exception of maybe Viggo. Maybe Viggo if they don't check out that movie. So who are they going to go with if not him? I'd say it's down to Jake Gyllenhaal for Nocturnal Animals or Tom Hanks for Sully. Yeah, I think those are the other two. But they've just been so inconsistent through the season here that there's no guarantee that either one of them will make it. Okay, here we go. Best Director. So Damien Chazelle for La La Land I have in there. Barry Jenkins for Moonlight. Kenneth Lonergan for Manchester by the Sea. Denis Villeneuve for Arrival, and Tom Ford for Nocturnal Animals are the five I have. Yeah, we kind of mentioned this in that other video I put up just a few days ago. Yeah, there's no guarantee that that Tom Ford has this. I mean, Scorsese for Silence could get in. David Mackenzie for Hell or High Water could get in. Garth Davis got that DGA nomination for Lion. That's a pretty important one. Mel Gibson still has a decent shot for Hacksaw Ridge. Who did I just see there a second ago? Not Denzel. No, I think he's out. I'll tell you what, though. I'll guarantee you that Damien Chazelle and Barry Jenkins get in there. Kenny Lonergan is, those three movies, La La Land, Moonlight, and Manchester by the Sea, I think are going to be among the more nominated films tomorrow. They're the three that are in the hunt for Best Picture wins. So those three are solid, with the exception, if you got to say one of them's the weakest link, it's definitely Kenny Lonergan. And then Denis Villeneuve, this would be his first nomination at the Oscars for directing. Arrival, it's just getting into so many other categories, at least from what I have. So it's hard to say that one's going to miss for that one. So that leaves that fifth slot. And you know what? Silence has not been performing well. Not been performing well at all throughout the season. David Mackenzie got in a Critics' Choice, but has never popped up since. Garth Davis for Lion, he's come on late here, but DGA was announced after ballots were due. PGA was announced after ballots were due. So in case they didn't get a chance to see Lion, that knocks that one out. And plus, Mel Gibson, Hacksaw Ridge, that's when I kind of mentioned that the other day. It peaked too early, I think. I think after the Globe nominations came out is when it peaked. And now since then, people like Villeneuve have come up, Tom Ford has come up. He's been actually doing extremely well. Not only has he been getting in for screenplay just about everywhere, but he got in for director at BAFTA and at the Globes. I think that's a pretty good combo there. So those are the five I'm going with. Okay, and finally for Best Picture, La La Land, Manchester by the Sea, Moonlight, Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Lion, Fences, Hidden Figures, and Nocturnal Animals, if they go up to 10, are the 10 I have. I think The safe ones for sure you can bet on are La La Land, Manchester by the Sea, Moonlight, Arrival, and Lion. So those, you got if it goes anywhere from 5 to 10. So if they just for whatever reason only have 5, those are the 5 to bet on. Hacksaw Ridge comes next, followed by Hell or High Water, followed by Hidden Figures, then Fences, and then Nocturnal Animals, as far as most likely to least likely of those next 5. So if they end up on a weird number like 6 or 7, which they haven't done before, yeah, then it'll be Hacksaw and Hell or High Water after that, and then Hidden Figures, and then Fences, and then Nocturnal Animals if they go to 10. No guarantee they'll go to 10, but that's, just wanted to put it in there. If you got to go with anything else here, getting into that 10, it's Silence, Jackie, and Florence Foster Jenkins are the 3 alternates I'll put in there. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got for the predictions there. Yes, so we will have a live reactions tomorrow. I'll make sure I get up plenty early, get everything going. And I'll have a better list so I can just circle or something. That way I don't have to type everything out like I usually do with these live reactions, because that's, it gets annoying, and plus it can cover up some of the audio sometimes. So we don't want to do that. Let's, we'll just do I'll have a different method, that way we don't have to do that, and it'll be easier. I will have to, I won't have all day tomorrow to talk about the nominees, so we might just do, a live reaction to what happens, and then maybe 10 or 15 to 20 minutes just talking about stuff if we have anything to talk about. If it goes like I think it will, and I get a lot of these right, then there won't be too much to talk about. We might also do just a quick rundown of at this stage who's going to win each category. I did that last year, but and we'll see if there's any late changes. Like, let's say one of the front runners for whatever category, let's just say for example's sake, cinematography, for whatever reason La La Land misses, then we'll have to say, okay, with that one out, who wins, and stuff like that. And plus, the film editing category is pretty telling. So if we have something weird like Hidden Figures gets in there, Nocturnal Animals gets in there, Lion gets in there, and something like Manchester by the Sea, or Arrival, or even something like La La Land, if that happens to miss, yeah, then that's another one we'll have to say, okay, so with this in, what does that change? So yeah, we'll get to that there. Actually, hang on, let me look up what time does the... trying to look at what time they start tomorrow. Anyways, we'll have to see here. I think it's usually 5:30 or 5:40 on the Pacific coast. So see if I can find a definite answer here. But anyways, either way, I'll make sure I'm up in plenty of time so I can catch those. All right, folks. So that's all I've got for today. Tomorrow it'll be a fun day. It'll still be something of a stressful day, I'll bet. And yeah, we'll see how things go tomorrow.